just you do it, and then you'll bring other people on board, and that's exactly what happens, you know. So I think that's really how I want to approach it.
Yeah.
So that it's more accessible.
Yeah, and I think that's the more important element to it, that it needs to be more accessible to people.
Exactly, because I think also for me, you know, for all the years I've worked with other foundations, it's really just like, oh, what do I have to do? Like, there's so much bureaucracy and all this work you have to jump through to start a foundation just to like give back. But it's like, actually, no, you don't. Just one step at a time, right? Absolutely. Just do it. And see who wants to join you. That's exactly what happens.
And there are people who are always willing to join, and you know, like that's the beauty of when you start operating from the heart.
Exactly, which is just so rewarding. I have to say it was the most soul-filling, rewarding thing I have done. And it's all because not only was I, you know, doing what I can to give back, it was really watching everyone come together.
Yeah, certainly. You know? And Angel, I wanted to introduce you to Dr. Georgios, who is our program advisor. He was also Hermina's mentor long time ago. So
amazing.
Your audio is mute. Yeah, now I can see you. Hello, sir.
Hello, Keshav. Hello,
very good, sir. Sir, I wanted to introduce you to Angel. Angel is today's keynote speaker. And so
thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, can you see me?
Hi.
There
yes.
I am. Okay.
Like an angel, you appeared.
Good morning. Where are you today?
I'm in Brussels, so it's good afternoon for me. I think we have the whole range of zones, yes?
Oh, I love this. So we have New York, India, and Brussels.
And we have France also now. Piera has also joined in.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, just on mute. How are you guys?
Hi.
Piera, that's Dr. Georgios, by the way. That's Dr. Georgios, who we are meeting tomorrow, like on the next day on the prep call.
Hi, Piera. On Sunday, we'll see each other. Yes.
Wonderful to meet you. Yes, chat to you on Sunday.
Let's focus on this one now. Please go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
And sir, we have also been joined by Mr. Prem Ojha, sir, from India, who is an educator, my own mentor for a long time, especially primary education, secondary education. He heads a big school here and works extensively around India. So Prem sir, if you want to say hi to us.
Namaste आप सभी को.
Namaste.
I believe it will be a lovely evening with all of you.
Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And Dr. Georgios, would you like to just speak for 2 minutes today at the beginning, largely just about the COVID context in the 75 years? Why action is there? I mean, if you just
sure. If you want, I've not prepared anything, but if you think it would fit, yes. There is also the Dag Hammarskjöld anniversary today, right?
And all of everyone's who is with us today is A, action oriented, B, from my personal conversation with everybody, meditating, spiritually opened up, operating from a love place. Like I can tell you, I've had the same conversation with Piera, Angel, Prem sir, with you. So it's just I would say collective of love that has gathered together, you know, who just wants to act. So today's session has nothing to do with teaching wisdom to people. It is just all of such wonderful people talking from their heart about what they have done, why they are doing it, so that people get inspired from just them. That's the whole idea. And so I've had the pleasure of curating this list myself. So then I can like tell you that everyone who's coming in today is going to be like an explosive like speaker with love, basically creating that energy. That's the way. That's the reason we have these this hand grenade from which the flowers are coming out. So we can reimagine action, and we can take action from that destructive, sometimes the semantic, to the love space. So that's essentially what we have today.
We need an atomic bomb of love, Keshav, to really correct things.
Yes, yeah, certainly. So.
We're building that.
Yeah, and sir, and to everybody, this is the lineup that we have today. We will be beginning in another 5 minutes or so. So welcome remarks. There is welcome remarks that Dr. Georgios is giving in. Then we have a very short 2-minute video that is about the UN, like just 75 years of the UN. And right now, as you all know, General Assembly is going on. So Dr. Georgios was one of those important people in stake, I would say, in participation during the Rio 20 plus summit as well, where the SDG agenda got formed. Dr. Georgios has worked very closely with, I will probably underguess the number of people like Secretary Generals, Honorable Secretary Generals, but he has worked directly with Kofi Annan sir and many great people at the UN who's really set the agenda. So
not
I think we are very lucky.
I'm not that old.
Yeah. No, he's, like what I mean to say is that sir has essentially really seen where this agenda is coming from and where it can move. So that's one, like, we are very lucky, sir, that we have you, and we are having a set of model UN simulations in Delhi, in Sonipat, with children from a tier 3 city on gender, on climate, and that is being led by Prem Oja, sir. So sir, we already have, in fact, that tells me that Fabia from Fridays for Future, who is also on the panel today, Fabia has also joined in. She's in Sweden right now.
Mm-hmm.
Fabia, your audio is muted for now. Yeah, now.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, Fabia. Can you see all of us?
Yeah, I think I can. Just trying to find the best. Yeah, I think now I can see everybody. So.
Okay. So we are going to start the live stream in another just 2 minutes now. And we already have most of our speakers. Samantha is the only one who is yet to join in. She's from Guyana and she's a coder, inspiring woman who's just started a jobs and SDG and skilling platform for Caribbean youth. Right now, very recently, we are also working closely with her to take these dialogues and create online learning modules with them. So today, I know I'll be talking about it in my opening remarks, so I'll leave it there itself. I will just set up our stream quickly, and then we will be beginning, sir, Dr. Georgios, with just your context setting remarks, very basic remarks. Your basic is our complex, so I can say that for you, very basic.
I'm not prepared, Keshav. You have to give the context a bit, and then I chip in.
Yes.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. Sure, sir. I will be speaking, and I'll show a video first. Then we will have a little bit of your context, sir. Then we move on to Angel, who will be sharing her journey. I don't want to say delivering her keynote, sharing really her journey. And then following that, I will just put the agenda on the screen for all of us, sir. We have Piera then, who will be talking from a Stronger with Music, which is her initiative. From that perspective, her journey on how she's acting with SDGs and generally where she sees music. She's going to discuss something really fantastic, so I'm not going to ruin that surprise. Prem sir is talking about today the SDG lab, how in education we are engaging very critical discussion because pre-COVID, post-COVID, both the engagement has been there. Then we have Fabia, who's talking about climate action from Fridays for Future. Dr. Georgios, Fabia is a very close colleague of Janine and Rolf. Just wanted to bring to your note, yes, because you have met Janine.
Great team, yes.
Yeah, on a panel earlier. Then we have Samantha who will be giving a Caribbean perspective on what is happening. And finally, we have Emily Craven, who's a storyteller, who will be talking about storytelling and using storytelling to mobilize action, essentially. So that's where we are today. And then I will just broadly throw light on the fellowship that we are developing under your guidance. So, and a COVID response for Brazil that we have. That's the larger program. It's going to be very crisp. We have the time limit set. Everything is good to go. So with your permission and everybody panelists' permission, then I will begin my remarks. If it's
Great,
okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, so to all our esteemed panelists, to our partners, our guides, everyone who's watching in, and most importantly, the young people and the younger people. That means young people 60, younger people 65, and youngest people 75. To everybody, I think today is a very important day because the second Secretary General of the United Nations, who we have utmost respect for and we take utmost inspiration from, had passed away as the only Secretary General who has passed away in the line of duty at the United Nations. He represents to me, to a lot of us, the best of humanity. In many ways, the best of compassion, the best of self oriented action coming from self for just everybody. So a selfless self and a vision, and most importantly, honesty to say what he wanted to, do what he wanted to. And for me, he's a symbol of integrity. So this was the reason why today's Global Actions Initiative launch was scheduled today as a big tribute to him from our program team. It has so happened that even Jimi Hendrix has his own passing anniversary today, who is another one of those who has moved the world with his music and at a very young age. So this truly represents an important day to take inspiration from and take our program from the dialogues phase where it has been since the last couple of months to the actions phase. While we were coming up with the actions, it led me to a deep external and internal journey personally to also understand what the word action means. And I saw when I Googled the word action, it had 11 different meanings in the Oxford Dictionary itself. And I saw that it started from some place that is a French law, legal action, where it starts from, but where the word goes to today. We have all, my only concluding sort of lesson from that entire understanding was action is what people make of it. And which is where in this COVID era today, it is very important that that action not be selfish action, that action doesn't have to be social action, but can be an action coming from heart, action coming with empathy towards others, action coming with compassion, and action with sincerity, not just of words, but of action itself. Action, and this is where we see that today COVID has presented us with an opportunity to move away from all that we had taken for granted, that is human relationships, certain privileges of our own in our own respective urban bubble from where I am also speaking today. But this helped us understand that that is not it, and we can't survive just on this. And there is, and added to that are bigger problems like climate change or a climate crisis, if I can say, and several other issues. It is almost like we have gone back to the same point where the UN had started, where we need to pick up the direction where we need to move. And I will be showing a video, but here, what is the objective of our event today is that my final understanding of action has been that I can only lead my own action, like my own effort. And I can hope that while I act from heart, while I act from compassion, and I engage with everybody else on that they are able to do that for themselves. Because compassion, love, sincerity, and togetherness is at the heart and soul of every living organism. Whether it's a dog or a cat or a human being or a plant, the inherent nature of nature is to give selflessly, to be in harmony of life. So and finally, that is, I feel, enshrined in the UN Charter, in the preamble to the Charter itself, where it says that we the people, not we the nations, but we the peoples of this United Nations, having solemnly resolved. So I would like to call your energy, your attention, 75 years later, to these words, we the people, and having solemnly resolved. Are we solemnly resolved today or not? In my journey, I have found these 6 to 7 absolutely inspiring individuals who have resonated action, who have walked the talk, who have only walked the talk most of their life, and who still believe in just walking that talk and acting. But today I thought that we could hear them and just learn from them, just feel inspired, just feel their love for the society. And then with that, we begin our Actions initiative. Today we are joined in by an extremely inspiring panel today, which will be commencing with Angel Pai, who is the founder of Keep Breathing, which is a very important COVID response initiative. Welcome, Angel. She will be talking about her journey, following which Piera from Stronger with Music will be discussing how music inspires action, what is the role of that, following which we will be moving to another dimension of action in another corner of the world, which is, let's say, where I am today in India, about how Mr. Prem Ojha as an educator is using the same word action to inspire more young children into SDGs. Then we will be going back to Europe, to Sweden with Fabia, who will be again talking about one of the most inspirational climate action movements that has arisen from the ground up with young people and again seniors both, that is with Fridays for Future. So we will know how that happens, how strikes are actions. We will get every perspective around that, following which we have, because of COVID, we have been pushed online to learn to build capacity. So we have a stellar project that is being done by Samantha, who's leading Trifinity Solutions from Georgetown in Guyana. And all of these are our, again, valued partners, and we always take inspiration from them when we decide our own approaches as well. And finally, we have Emily Craven from Story City, Adelaide, Australia, who will be talking about her storytelling immersive platform, which now henceforth will be used for SDG sensitization and driving action. So the whole event is essentially exploring different parts of action, different spaces of action, and this one big elephant of action, which we explore from every different side that we have. Today, with this event, we hope to get a fuller picture. So thank you. And a special thank you again to all our partners who have always supported us, who have always guided us, and who have enabled us to act also in some way, in a very minor way for the planet, but just some way. So I will be inviting Dr. Kostakos, but before that, I want to show a 2-minute video, because all of what I have said does not matter in front of what the next person is going to say. And I present to you Jan Clark. He is from Amazonian tribe in the Brazilian forests, and he has something to tell us. So I'd like to call your attention to the screen while I share Jan's message with all of us. Are you able to view the screen, please?
I'm 15 years old and I live in the Amazon in Brazil. Right now we are in the Rio Negro. And I'm gonna speak about the difficulties and the good side of living here. The difficulties of living here for a young person is to continue studies, because after high school you don't have a university that's near, so you have to go to a bigger city that's a long distance from here, Manaus. So for many young people that's not possible. So that's a bad thing of living here. And a good side is that you can distract yourself with nature. You can go fishing, you can explore, you can go swimming in the river. There's a lot of things, good things that you can do. And now I'm going to speak about my expectation for the future. I would like to study biology or something that would involve me with the place where I live in, that's here. Something that would make me like work here and help the people that live here. And that's what I want for my future.
Thank you all for listening to Jan's message. And on that note, I just want to get quick remarks from Dr. Georgios Kostakos, who is our very, very valued advisor. And if possible, sir, if you can share your remarks with us.
Yes. Thank you very much, Keshav. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with such a group together today and to be kicking off the next phase in a way of the dialogues that the DICE Global Voices has initiated, and with the support of FOGS, which is the Foundation for Global Governance Sustainability, for which I work in Brussels. Always action is the end result, what we really want to see, which means the expression of all the idealism and the planning and the things that we do and we discuss eventually have to conclude in some way and to influence positively the lives of our fellow human beings and of our own. Because the purpose of any structure and any theory and ideology for me, it's very clearly human well-being and resilience. And that is what we have come to understand, I think, even more clearly now with COVID-19 and the constraints that we are under. So as you said before, we distill what the essence of life and what are the most important things for us. And they're not so much material as we thought perhaps before, or many things can be solved in simpler ways. We have to find this essence and act on it and really make sure with our, because we have towards each other responsibilities as well as rights, we create the environment within which every person, for example, like Jan from Brazil, can let's say, operationalize, can deploy all their skills, and between a hobby and the profession, offer themselves to the world and take from the world what they really need, which is not that much. So there is enough for everybody if we approach it in a positive way. And we have to make sure that these big theories and the SDGs and other structures that we created at the global level trickle down to every individual. And they reach them and they improve their lives, and we secure, without leaving anybody behind, well-being and resilience for individuals and communities. That is what we're trying to do also with the grand narrative that we have developed at FOGS, and you are working with us on that to develop it further with the energy and the ideas of young and less young people, and a code of conduct, a moral code, which is very simple. We say the Exalogue in harmony with nature, economy for the people, institutions responsive to the people, and active citizenship, more or less, and technology also for society, respect for diversity. These are the 6 principles I think that we can guide us in this action that's benevolent and does not stick to external differences, but focuses on the essence of humanity that we all have and our connection to nature. And one word for the other observance of the day, the death in a plane crash of Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld in '61, if I'm not mistaken. He really tried to live his beliefs and convictions in a very deep spiritual way, while having also a lot of administrative and political duties and responsibilities in the United Nations. His ending, it's like a martyr in a way of the UN, because he was probably assassinated, and that was not an accident, but a plane crash that was orchestrated by big powers who didn't want his influence in the Congo that was becoming independent at the time. So he tried to live his convictions in practice, and he was also tormented, as you will understand if you read his markings, which is his poetic memoirs. But you can see also the integrity and the sense of duty to a higher purpose and to humanity as a whole. So I think if we are driven by such feelings and we have a team of people like we are today and getting bigger and bigger, we can perform miracles in real life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Georgios. Because I was born in the 1990s, never had the pleasure to be around him. But I think if I were around him, he will probably be something like you. So experientially, thank you for today being with us today. It's a very important occasion, as you see, for all of us. And I want to now invite Angel, who again today told me that we are not going to do keynotes. We are going to do conversation from heart. So which makes me very happy. Angel, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, world. I'm just so honored to be here today and have literally the world join us today, because the speakers from all around the world, we have so much to hear from you, so much to learn from you. And I chose to, I had spoken to you this morning saying that I'm scraping the speech because I really want to speak from the heart, because that's how this foundation that I started. And I think that's what we're really trying to share, which is that it is not necessarily a big corporation, government, entity that can have an effect. It is absolutely down to us, the individual. So a little bit about myself. I have a background in media. I'm an actor, I'm a TV host. I've always dedicated my time, I've chosen to use my platform for humanitarian drive. So for me, it was very important that I use my platform to serve. Now, growing up, I wanted to be a doctor, not because my parents wanted me to. I actually chose to. They were the ones that said, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Absolutely." So since I was 5, I've wanted to be a doctor. Now, why do I want to be a doctor? For me, it was to serve. It was a humanitarian drive that I could not explain. I've had it since I was a child. So I grew up studying that in school. I went to specialized schools, high schools and colleges where I got a head start at this program. Fast forward. Why do I bring these things up? I didn't go into medicine. I went into media because I recognized the power of media, the platform, the worldwide reach that it has. So I thought I could do my work to serve through media. Now, 2 years ago, I started a jewelry company because I grew up as an artist. It was a passion I felt the need to express. So I started a company where I hand sculpt every piece, and occasionally I work with 3D printers when I have to cast and finesse wax, which you cast gold or metals in. It's part of the casting process. Why do I bring all these things up? Because these are all aspects of who I am. That's all, as simple as that. They are all aspects of who I am as an individual. I'm not here to speak about what we all must do in giving back. No, it is our responsibility to humanity to live in harmony. If anything, it is to live in harmony. But to find that, perhaps it is to find out what that means for yourself. And I talk about, with especially youths, what is it that you are good in? Maybe you don't know what you're good in yet, but what it is that you love. Let your passion drive you. So let's start back with why I talk about all this. Keep Breathing is a nonprofit I started back in March, towards the beginning of COVID, when we all, in New York City, I'm in New York City, when we shut down for the quarantine. I had 2 weeks quarantined in my apartment. Normally I work 20-hour days, so for the 2 weeks I was like, this is great. I don't have work. I take some time for myself. Within the 2 weeks, all I kept hearing were news about the mass amount of deaths that was taking over New York City. And at the time, it was New York City that was hit so hard, because now it's changed and shifted all around the world, of course. But at the time, back in March, I could not sit there knowing that I was safe in my apartment while the world is hurting. I couldn't do that. So I kept racking my brain. What can I do to give back? I called the hospitals. I called my doctor friends. I called everyone I could think of in the medical field. Is there something I can do? Can I volunteer? Will you train civilians? I'm not a doctor. I don't have a medical license. However, you know, I volunteered. I've interned. I've worked in a hospital. I'm familiar with the environment. There's got to be something I can do. I'll feed the doctors, something. And they were so overwhelmed. There was nothing that they could offer me to say, everyone's just trying to play catch up. Everyone was just trying to breathe. They couldn't delegate tasks. There was nothing set in place for any civilians to volunteer at the time. I just kept thinking, well, there's still got to be something I can do. Now, one night I was on Facebook, of all places, social media, which is the wonderful thing about social media. I was on Facebook and I came across this file developed by Philip Sweetie, who was in upstate New York, who is still in upstate New York. He is a 3D printer designer. He developed a file that was a ventilator splitter. At that time in New York City, we had a dire need for ventilators. We were running out. There was not enough hospital beds. There was not enough ventilators for everybody. So I saw these parts and I thought, my goodness, this is a very simple design. I had thought about it before. So can we split the air? But there were so many technical issues. There were so many issues, complications to splitting the use of a ventilator, because a ventilator is not just to, doesn't just give you oxygen. It monitors your vital signs. It is the 2020 ventilators are very complex and smart machines that does far more than just give you air. So my understanding is if we were to use a ventilator splitter for a ventilator, you're essentially bringing it back, you know, removing all the capabilities it has in modern day, because you're reducing what it can do, which is monitoring a one-to-one ventilator to patient, where you can't monitor the stats of the patient anymore. You're simply using it just for air. Upon more research, I realized we've done this already. Doctors in America during the Vegas shootout, they ran out of ventilators in the hospitals. When the bodies were brought to the hospitals, doctors have finagled splitters on the spot to prolong lives until new ventilators arrived from other hospitals. So this was already done. Upon more research worldwide, many doctors actually posted their own version of ventilator splitters. So I knew there was something to this. So now this is around 8-9 p.m. when I came across these files. Immediately I went on social media to find Philip. Said, is this tested? Was this tested? It was developed in a medical school for medical school. It was requested by a medical school. It was tested in artificial lungs. So I know that it was tested on, once again, artificial lungs. It wasn't tested on human. Now, I just kept digging and digging. I knew that this is one pursuit, this is one route. Because of my work with other artists and architects and engineers, because my art background, I knew a lot of companies and friends, personal friends, people like you and I, with 3D printers. It was like having a 3D printer at home. So I immediately messaged everybody and I put it out on my Facebook. Who has 3D printers and who wants to help me print this? That was what started. All I kept thinking was, well, if I can get these files and I get Philip's clearance to use these files, and he had made it an open source file, which meant the whole world could use it. I got his blessing and I said, great. I immediately reached out to the first person whose initial post I had seen, Will, who was one of the first members and crucial part of my team. I immediately said, hey, would you help me print this? He's like, I'm on it. I'm already on it. It's printing as we speak. So what was amazing was, because the world was hurting, there were a lot of us who felt the need to move to action. So by 11 p.m., I had about 100 machines waiting for me to give them the go. I kept working in all realms. Essentially, the 20 hours I normally work with my multiple careers, I put it all on this. I thought, let me utilize my background, my connections. Because of my work with the media, because of my platform and humanitarian work I was doing, I had access to ambassadors and people around the world, UN, government officials. I reached out to them. I messaged them middle of the night saying, I have an idea. Can we have a meeting? Can we talk about this? I reached out to people in hospitals, doctors that I knew, to reach the directors of hospitals, heads of hospitals. I was like, I need to pick your brain. I have an idea. Is this something that's possible? Would you like me to do this, to print these out and send them to you? I just kept thinking about, I'll print this out and I'll deliver it. It was just logistics. I thought about that for myself. But when I plastered this message on Facebook, hundreds of people messaged me back immediately. People who said, I know someone with the 3D printer. I know someone who could do this. I know someone at the hospital. I know. Everyone came together. Within 24 hours, the world came together. Over 10 countries reached out, whether it was government officials or doctors and people like myself in other countries who reached out to get these files. They wanted the files, and they said, can I have them so I can do this? Or can you send them, whatever it was. And I said, take the files. You can do what I'm doing right now. I can't manage for your country. I'm barely breathing trying to do this for New York, but you can do it. Next thing I know, I was sending files worldwide. I put together the most amazing team. I could not have done it without these phenomenal team members who stepped up, who were powerful leaders in their own right, who were used to managing their own companies and teams, entrepreneurs like myself, who were used to the full spectrum of things. We started delegating tasks. I said, you handle this, this is what I'm good at. What was so important, what came out of all this, was that I wasn't telling people what to do. I asked, what can you do? When people messaged me, I couldn't tell them I needed help on this front. I was also overwhelmed, because not only was I just printing the parts, I had to jump through the bureaucracy of developing what essentially was a medical equipment. So I realized now I need lawyers. I needed them to give me an indemnity clause. I needed the doctors to sign an indemnity clause to protect all the volunteers. We were all volunteers. So now we needed protection. And so this dragged on for a couple of weeks while we were printing the files. The files took a while to print. Every set, we were developing valves to finesse. We kept addressing the issues that came with a ventilator splitter. We kept digging deeper, talking to doctors, researchers, product developers. Meanwhile, Philip was developing valves, finessing it. This was action on all fronts. And so what I knew was I couldn't tell people, what do I need you to do? But they will come to me, says, well, I'm a copywriter, or I'm a reporter, or I have a car. So I can develop a website. All these offers from all around the world. We essentially just made a list, and then we said, great, this you do, this you do, this is what you're good at, this is what you're good at. People came up with, they were inspired to action based on what they could do. And that was one of the most rewarding things, is I could not have done this without over 500 volunteers worldwide that jumped in and moved to action. And now we have a valid foundation. This foundation is called Keep Breathing, and we are evolving, which meant once there was no longer as much of a need for ventilator splitters, we were moving our funds to provide other, equipment for COVID response, whether it was masks, food for the doctors, food for the hospitals. And now we're developing something so exciting to me. It's called a PAPR, PAPR, which is a personal air purifying system, which we intend on developing. I have literally a NASA scientist, product engineer, developing this new product that I intend to donate to the doctors on the front line, because it will be a personal protection for them. Because COVID is not going anywhere anytime soon. And many, many industries are affected, not just the hospitals, which means what can you do in your area? I'm not saying that you need to join my foundation. This is more about people like you and I used to work with foundations. I'm a STEAM ambassador for Aspire Artemis, which is how I got to know this platform, the Dias. I've been working with There Is No Limit Foundation. These are all different foundations I've been working with for years. The idea of an organization, a foundation, is so big, it almost sounds inaccessible. However, when I started I didn't set out to start my own. I just did this. I did this, and it kept evolving. And now I need to start a foundation. I needed to be, I need to protect my volunteers. It just kept growing and growing and growing. It was evolving, just like life itself, just like COVID and the situation of COVID. We kept adapting, because that's all we can do. We're humans. For society and humanity to continue, we need to continue to adapt and evolve. And that means what's happening right now in the present. Let me just handle this right now. I could only try to plan ahead, but things were being thrown at us left and right. All these issues that kept coming up. So I ask, what are your gifts? What are your skill sets? What are you good at? What brings you joy, passion? Sit with your purpose, what you want to do. What is the legacy you want to leave on earth? And maybe it's not such a grand scale. Maybe it's just that you are good at communication. You're good at sharing messages. You're good at photography. You're good at music. Whatever it is that you're good at, your gifts. That in itself brings us all back to what I'm saying, which is we all have a role in all of this, and together we rise. Only together we rise. And the world, COVID, as painful and dark as this situation has been, it has brought the world together. We realize now we're not alone. It is not a me versus you issue. It's a human issue. It's a global issue. So I'm here to say, this is what I have done. And I hope my little story, the humble beginnings, can inspire you into action. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. If any of you, for instance, would like to just say what you have learned from Angel's discussion, maybe one thing, I think it will be really nice to know. If any of you want to unmute and just speak quickly before we move to the next speaker. You're all welcome. That's the point of action now.
I think Angel's passion will inspire every one of us. The kind of, the very passionate young lady, living her joy through her actions. So this is something really great. At least this is the entire story and the journey, which even Keshav said, that not as a keynote speaker, but the way she has shared her journey, and her journey itself is very inspiring. Thank you, Angel.
Thank you so much.
Angel, thank you so much. And I hope that you continue your journey ahead, and that we are able to do everything in our capacity also, getting more people involved and reaching out to everyone. And like you said, that we rise together when we do. So I think
Yes.
Resonating with that, a fellow New Yorker once upon a time, now in France for now, a global citizen in every way, Piera is coming in, and she's founded something that resonates with that idea, I think, that is stronger with music. So Piera, if we can have the honor of listening to your journey now. And Angel, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Angel, for such an inspiring speech. And I just loved hearing your story and also turning it to us into what we can do. So I'm Kiara Vanderweel. I'm a singer-songwriter, actor, filmmaker, and also founder of Stronger with Music. We promote the importance of music and mental health, and also music and social impact. So I'm really happy to take you sort of through my journey of music campaigns and also into how music can be a tool into raising awareness and also taking action. So I'll just start off with a bit of my story. So I started singing when I was a little kid. I used to stand up on boats and trains and also sometimes planes, to the annoyance of some customers, I'm sure. And I would start singing in English and start singing in Italian, and I'd want to get people to join in with me and to connect with the song that I was singing. Even if it was in Italian, I'd want people to clap along. And so singing has always been a part of my life in sharing joy and also connection with other people. And when I was 15, I sadly lost my best friend in a car accident. And during this time, my world fell apart, but music is what kept me going. And it was actually through one of my teachers, my music teachers, who encouraged me to start songwriting. So I went into this sort of dark studio in the music room and I just started writing. And each day I was writing, I just felt stronger as I was writing this song for my friend. And really it was a voice to my grief. And I did indeed feel stronger with music. And from this, I wanted to start something. I wanted to start an initiative, a movement into how music can be so empowering and can help us both on a psychological level and a physiological level. So my presentation today is on the role of music in action. And the presentation's already started. Brilliant, that's fantastic. So as I was saying, let me just get the tag, perfect, wonderful. So my company is Stronger with Music, as you can see here. We work with NGOs globally. So from the Barefoot College International that train women to be solar engineers in India and Africa and also Latin America. Also the incredible Aspire Artemis Foundation that has taken me to St. Lucia at the STEAM and Innovation Symposia back in February. Impact NYC, Canadian Women's Foundation, Abaco Strong, just to name a couple. Okay, so next slide, please. Thank you. Perfect. So what we do is we work towards understanding how music actually impacts us mentally and also impacts our mental health. So we work with music therapists, MTC, BC music therapists, MTA music therapists here in Canada, RP trauma specialists, and a neuroscientist. And what we do is we put into action programs, as you can see, educational seminars, plenaries, songwriting, and also live performance when we can, when COVID is not happening. For the moment, performing online and virtually is actually something I'm really enjoying, as it's bringing more people together and has a global reach. So I'm enjoying it very much. So I'm very passionate indeed about the SDGs and upholding the SDGs to achieve UN 2030, and especially passionate about climate change and also gender equality and combating violence against women. Okay, so next slide. Okay, right, everybody. So we're going to dive in a bit to the world of science. I'm also a bit of a science geek, as well as really loving and enjoying what I do with my music, but really music is my passion and lifeblood, but science is just the core of discovery and innovation. So I'm going to go into a bit of that. So as you can see here, is my little brain picture, we have the amygdala. So when we listen to music, there is an emotional response that occurs in the limbic brain region of the amygdala. And the amygdala is our emotional control system in our brain. And music has the incredible, awesome ability to stimulate all brain regions that are considered to be at the core of our emotional understanding, emotional identification, and also emotional processing. Okay, so now I want you to think about your favorite piece of music. So my favorite piece of music is actually a song that I share with my mum, which is called Wagon Wheel. It's a really fun country song. And each time I listen to it, I just stand up out of my chair. I start doing a fun dance with my mum. I feel good. I feel like I want to sing out. So let's look a bit more closely at what happens in our brain. So what I have listed here are the 3 neurotransmitters that are released in our brain. It releases serotonin, and serotonin is the neurotransmitter of comfort. And then the brain also releases dopamine in the nucleus accumbens that derives pleasure and makes you feel good, just like when you're eating a piece of cake, pack of crisps for me. And then lastly, it releases oxytocin, which is the neurotransmitter of love. And it's all about forming connections. So that happens when we're hugging someone that we love, kissing someone that we love. And finally, what we have here is the hippocampus, which is the center of memory and how we learn. And it's also affected when we hear a piece of music. And what it does, it affects social engagement and also attachment. And what's really cool is that music is one of the only mediums that releases all 3 neurotransmitters, which is fab. So music has this powerful property, and we can use it to our advantage. So, I mean, back in the days when we could go to concerts and experience live music, you can hear the music, you can dance, but you're feeling connected to the people around you, even though that you haven't actually spoken to them at the concert. And that is because your brain is releasing these awesome chemicals. So what music does is that it creates connection. It creates community. So we can use music in order to take action of what we're most passionate about, and also create social change and social impact. Alrighty, next slide, please. Amazing, brilliant. So now I'm going to speak a bit about STEAM. So STEAM is the inclusion of arts and culture in the world of STEM that was launched last year. I actually performed at the Aspire Artemis Foundation event at the UNHQ in New York. And it was incredible to see how the arts are a part of the world of STEM, and quite rightfully so. So music, for example, it can improve our cognitive performance. It can aid spatial temporal relationships that are imperative for working through solutions in the fields of maths and science and engineering. And it's important for when we're creating these new innovations to have the arts as a part of this system. Music can also aid spatial intelligence and pattern recognition, emotional development, and really increase our empathy due to increased auditory skills. And something that I love, absolutely love, is the fact that musical training helps develop language and reasoning. And we can take our language and reasoning and form, for myself, I've been forming songs, I've been forming campaigns, and we can do that. We can do that through our art, which is what I want to empower you to do today, tomorrow, next week, whenever you have that inspiration to creatively take the next step forward. So now I'm turning towards some of our campaigns with Stronger with Music and what we're doing to take action and uphold sustainable development goals. So as you can see here, picture of myself and my campaign Used. And Used is raising awareness of increasing numbers of domestic violence. it has been raising awareness of the incredible work of the United Nations Trust Fund to End Violence Against Women. And my single has been, the goal of it was to highlight this silent, salient issue of the shadow pandemic that is domestic violence and the ever increasing numbers due to COVID-19. The song has been played on NBC and is now having a release of an accompanying music video that is showing the harrowing truth of domestic violence and how many it affects, and the stats and the shelters, and how we can also educate ourselves to offer aid. So really, when domestic violence occurs, there's actually a dysregulation around emotional understanding, and music acts as a soothing mechanism. So I wanted to connect to this cause to be able to raise more awareness to what is happening in the world of COVID-19 and the fact that we've had to quarantine and isolate in our homes, in a home that might not always be a safe place to be. So the Canadian Women's Foundation, they've actually released something called Signal for Help, and it is a global hand gesture and a movement as a distress signal for victims of domestic violence. And in my new music video for Used and my new campaign, I've included women performing this hand gesture and movement. And I wanted to make this signal global and help women around the world who are suffering. As I believe if the victims are unable to verbally communicate to their abuser, let's empower each and every one of them with this non-verbal communication, as this honestly could save their lives. So the music video was launching on the 28th of September, which is the beginning of the Signal for Help Awareness Week. And we actually had a special screening of it with the DICE and the Gender Dialogues, which was really exciting and really wonderful. And as Angel was saying, there's a lot of darkness because of COVID-19. And right now we must take this time to challenge this silence once again, because many issues around the world have been forgotten or even exacerbated due to COVID-19. So another campaign that I'm working on, we can go to the next slide if you'd like, just to have more of a visual aid of what I'm doing. And you can actually see the hand signal as well for the Canadian Women's Foundation. And so my other campaign is the Come Back Home Abaco Relief Song. So for the last year, I have been raising funds and humanitarian efforts for the Abaco Islands that were destroyed by Hurricane Dorian last year on the 1st of September 2019. And this is somewhere that I grew up, a place that I have called home since I was a baby. And immediately as the hurricane hit, I wanted to do something to help my friends and my family out in Abaco who were suffering and had gone through hell. So immediately after the hurricane hit, I started writing this Come Back Home Abaco Relief Song and putting together a home footage video, a video of memories, my friends and family there who had looked after me and cared for me when I was growing up. And I also included home footage from the Abaconians and included victims of Hurricane Dorian singing along to my ending chorus. Because what I wanted to do with this campaign is I wanted to create a rallying anthem to bring people together to rebuild and to not lose hope. And a year on, even now, this campaign is extremely relevant, as some people are still living in makeshift housing and receiving food distributions, living off a reverse osmosis system that's providing the only available drinking water to northern Abaco. And so really what I want to say with the work that I'm doing with Stronger with Music is that music can evoke and inspire, and through our campaigns we can show how music can offer aid, raise awareness, and how music can be used also as coping skills. Music is utilized as a tool in raising awareness, taking action, and also implementing creative strategy for social action and also social change. So the presentation is now ended, so I'll just wave and say hello. Hello. So really what I want to say is that there is a power in the creative economy to make change happen. You have something to offer. you can help with your action, your art, your ideas, your creative abilities, so you can share a message to the world and start taking a step forward in the action that you can create. Thank you so much for listening and watching the presentation, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Piera. And I think more than whatever I can say, my guitar at the background, the Stratocaster, will create my complete endorsement to you, to every word that you say. It echoes, I think, here in my own conversations with literally everyone, including Dr. Georgios. We've talked about this, so completely resonating. I would like to invite maybe one person from the discussion if they want to say something about what they have learned from Piera's entire discussion, which they never thought could be a dimension to action. Anyone who would like to unmute and just speak? I think Piera, everyone's just absorbing right now, and but if Prem sir, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just Keshav, one very important aspect. Thank you, Piera. Such a lovely presentation and sharing, and how the joy of an inner being can be a source of transformation for the outer being. You know, that's in a very that something which has not bring happiness for you, and something has not connected only you with your being, but always at the same time, how the love and passion of your music help others, connected others with a real cause, real issues, and brought transformation. So like, I just share this certain example, and I believe if Keshav gives some more time, then maybe I'll be sharing in my presentation also, that at certain point of time, because if you see, all of us, we have come from a different set of history. So music has a great role during our national movement, you know, bringing people together and then making them to work for a real cause and bringing transformation within the society. As far as India, you'll find out a very rich, you know, the sources of music all across different states in different languages and connecting people together. So thank you so much, Piera. It's lovely sharing. I think the joy of and the happiness which connect you can connect others also with you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prem sir. I think Piera, Prem sir is also going to be the next speaker, but before I invite him, I think your presentation has evoked a response from our global dialogues director, Devesh, who's also a close colleague of most of the people here on call. And Devesh, if you're on call and you want to say something, your 60 seconds are here.
Thank you, Keshav. Just one. Yeah. Piera, this was really beautiful, and understanding how sound further creates space, and it is bringing you to the now, and then further relating it to the hormones is something which is very niche also, and it also puts into perspective a lot of other things which people need, especially to come to the awareness when they're trying to look at the other aspects of, say, domestic violence, and how people are so lost in their own selves that they're not able to look at the outside. So music becomes their tool, essentially, taking them there. And this has been something over time. And this is what I would like to say, that this is beautiful to see someone using music.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Devesh and Piera, once again. Thank you. We hope that your music reaches more people. Our strength and solidarity and love for all the people in Abaco. I know at the year, and I mean the first anniversary has just happened a few days ago. So I really hope that along with the support that is needed, I heard literally a similar story from Claudia for Amazon, where we're trying to do the same thing, and I'm increasingly seeing with disaster coming and our climate change moving, it will be very important that that support goes to people. We are not just talking about no one left behind, we're talking about no one left behind to die, essentially here. So, so sadly, this is where we have reached, but your music is giving us the positive vibrations, and we are also working together to do that music project as well. We're trying to look at our own songs of peace for spreading joy and maybe inspiration to the world. So thank you so much. I would now like to invite Prem sir from Gateway International School, Sonipat. While I invite him, I just want to show you one picture from one of the things we had done with sir. And sir, if this can be your talking point to begin with, it will be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir.
Thank you, Keshav, and namaste to all. I think whatever is being shared in today's event by Angel as well as Pera, that how all of us, each one of us, can contribute as an individual as well as a part of community. So whatever I'll be sharing today, I'll be sharing from the perspective of how a school and education can bring change and can be a source of transformation. What Keshav shared with you, that Keshav shared in a picture where we conducted Youth Parliament last academic year on a SDG agenda. So I'll be sharing about this in detail, but on the same platform, I shared one particular statement and with all my students as well as the other respective member, that if education, the bigger purpose of education, whether, and specifically school education, to empower you, to make you think, and the institution need to make each and every child a thinking being, facilitating a process that they evolve as a thinking being, and they start thinking in and around what is happening. So from the same perspective, we started that how we can provide, or we can skill our children, which can empower them to think on the issues which they are facing locally and can find out a possible solution also. So they are not only just talking about the issues or talking about the problems, but they're also the part of and a very active participant in terms of bringing or finding out solution for that. And there we started tying up with Keshav and the entire team. So thank you, Keshav. The last year, I remember on 24th October. And in case if Keshav has a certain pics he can share, that we tied up with the DIAS team to work on the SDG issues and how we can, how this entire team of Keshav and our teachers can mentor young mind, on these issues, and can start working on various aspects. And out of those 17 SDG agendas, we picked certain specific agenda where our children will work in a very detailed manner, on a very ground level, with respect to their image in their immediate society, in their immediate environment, and then be cause of bringing change. And on the similar front, we did, as Peras mentioned, that how music can be so like I'll share one very interesting event. We did one event called Abhivyakti, an expression with this particular tag. And I and Keshav, we were having discussion that how SDG can be a part of Abhivyakti, and how dance, music, art can be a source of not only expression, but expressing the real social issues. So this is one of the pic which Keshav has shared, where one particular child danced through his dance, mono acting, shared the whole notion of gender equality and at the same time female infanticide, the how girl child being infanticide in the different corner of the country, and not only in India but all across the world. And through their song, through their the folk music and folk dance, children, they put forward a very strong message, as what Pierre said, that the music can be a huge source of passing, spreading messages all across within the society. And it reaches very easily. It connects you with your heart. So like, so that's really what we had when we conducted Abhivyakti. And children, through their street play, they were talking about gender equality, they were discussing about the water scarcity, and several set of issues which is related to the SDG. And in the same manner, down the line, we also conducted youth parliament where Keshav shared. And during youth parliament, few things which specifically I wish to share, that Keshav made it possible in terms of including several set of people in this. We involved our member of parliament also, where our MP of this particular city, Sonipat, had a conversation, a detailed conversation with the children. Then Asia Africa Youth Foundation, again on a young foundation led by the young students or young college students, they had an interactions, and they also shared that the issues related to the gender equality or poverty or any other set of issues is not only limited to your city or to your state or to your country, but these are global issues. So how the global themes can have discussions in terms of having connecting and working on the local issues, but having a global theme and global vision. In the, I believe we had a discussion, a panel discussion with young children from classes of grade 6th and 7th, and had a very strong sharing on gender equality. I believe if Keshav has something to share with us, the mentors, Keshav's DIAS team, as well as the children, they had a sharing on these issues during that panel discussion. So these certain things which we did it deliberately and integrated in our school curriculum. So because one thing which is being shared by one of our panelists, that when you do one event on one particular day, so it becomes a ceremonial event, and then you come, you get together, you discuss, and then you go back home, and then the whole concept and whole ideas get diluted, and then you're occupied and busy in your own world. But when you connect all these things in their day-to-day aspects, then maybe can be a source of bringing change, not only bringing change for themselves, but they can also be the source of bringing change in their surrounding. And that's why we integrated the whole concept of these set of things with our curriculum. And we planned a curriculum for this year where we trained our teachers, where we had trained our children, then Keshav and his team trained our teachers also on these issues, and trained our children also these issues. That how we can. So unfortunately, during the COVID, we could not proceed with all those set of plans on a ground level. But yes, the biggest outcome, as sir mentioned in the initial the introductory talk itself, introductory sharing itself, that the action should be always judged or perceived that the outcome which it brings, for the society. And the best outcome was that all these set of children, they've started thinking on these aspects, and they started working that, okay, these are the issues where we need to think, where we need to have a dialogue, and where we can collectively can bring some set of, can work on certain set of solution. We were having a set of discussion, why not young children? You know, the last year when Greta, she was speaking all across, and then she said that why Trump should design my life, and why Trump should design the life of the entire global community. So, my life in 2070, it will be, who will be deciding it? Will we have our own impact to decide, space to decide it? So I believe today's young generation, young mind should have every right to shape their future, to design their future. And so that's why we are looking forward to work very closely with this young, the K6 to K12, from the age group of almost 12, 13 years till the 18 years. Because the child who is in grade 11th and 12th, the age of 17 and 18, will be deciding the what government will have next year for him. So if he is aware and informed citizen, and if he or she is aware and informed citizen, so can take this decision very carefully, and can also, in the same way, these young citizens tomorrow will be leading and shaping the policies for their respective society and country. So it is really important, as a very important aspects being kept here, the role of youth and community in SDG during COVID-19. So yes, I believe this, the young adult, young youth has a very, very significant role, not during the COVID, but as a post-COVID, pre-COVID, because they are going to design their world, and they should have every right to design in a rightful manner their own world. At this point of time, as an educator, as an institution, whatever we can provide, a right platform, a right perspective where they can think and they can start acting, as the theme of this dialogue is today, that the global action initiatives. So initiatives need to be taken by our children at this point of time in a manner that they can have a sustainable growth as well as wonderful, peaceful, happy life, where they understand that we are the part of, Keshav started the whole dialogue today, we the people. So our constitution also started the preamble of our constitution, we the people, and even UN. So see what similarity. So I believe that this we the people and the whole notion of India, Indian culture is Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. पूरा संपूर्ण विश्व जो है एक परिवार है, और जब संपूर्ण विश्व एक परिवार है तो उसमें जो वी है, वो वी का जो नोशन, the notion of we need to be really understood in a rightful manner. So we is not only limited to a section of society or a state or a country, but we as a globally can bring a real change. So yes, we the people, I think Keshav, you mentioned in a very rightfully manner, and as Angel said that together we rise. So from the same concept, Keshav, I wish to share that I think the DIAS team and the entire other people will also be happy that we are starting a global dialogue forum. Again, the DIAS, I'm thankful to the Keshav and the entire team. They'll be mentoring our children, and we wish to create a platform driven by students, school students, where they do have a dialogue with the students of other countries on a global issues and a global themes, having a local perspective also, sharing local perspective, their issues, their problems in and around. And then they realize the problem which they are facing, it is not only their problem, that is also the problem of a country in a different corner of the globe. So like, for example, the poverty or the hunger or these set of issues, we are not only facing in our city, this is a common problem. So if it is a common problem, we can have a common solution also. And at least we together can come and can start having a dialogue to have a common solution. So yes, I completely agree with Angel that yes, together we can rise, but we need to expand the whole notion of being together, not limited to a particular city and country, but the whole concept of togetherness all across the world, all across the globe. And during this particular COVID, yes, there are several negative aspects, but this is one of the biggest positive aspects and advantage, that during this particular COVID, we came together as a community. I believe we should be thankful in one particular manner to this COVID, that it brought us together. So, at one particular platform where we can, we can have a dialogue, we can share our ideas. Otherwise, there's nothing positive about the COVID, because everybody is looking forward. I should be negative because, eagerly people are looking, oh God, please, my report should be negative. So the first time people are looking forward to have a negative to be a positive. So let's see, I believe, but thankful to, the whatever the COVID has given one positive aspect, we should continue with this whole thought in future also. And we should start working, and we should help people to be aware, to be informed, our young children, so they can shape their future in rightful manner, in a powerful manner. So I believe, Keshav, I don't have time, or do I have time? So I don't know. In case
take another minute if you want to close, sir. I don't want to rush you.
No. So like, so that my sharing only is Keshav, that the education or schooling should make children to reflect, and reflection should not be confined within the age aspects. Every child, every age group children, they can reflect. And this is our job, and as an institution, that what we are making them to reflect. So this is what I wish to conclude. And I must congratulate you, Keshav, that you have brought so many lovely resources, lovely people all across the world to share their thought and ideas. Thank you so much. You made my evening wonderful. And I believe this weekend, I'll have a lovely weekend with this set of, all these memories and sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So, we try to share some of the pictures with you to get a sense. But once COVID finishes, we hope that you cross the oceans and we are able to host you here as well. For
yes,
you can also see these places.
We'll be very happy to do that.
And one thing that I can say from all our work with Sir and the entire team is that the warmth is in the culture. Now, when the warmth is in the culture, of the institution, it goes out in the action also. So if that one picture I showed you was a happy picture while doing STG action. So action can still be joyful while being STG action. And that kindness in it can come towards self. You have to be kind to self to know how to be kind to others. So yes. I think, so children can also be taught just acceptance, adding to everything that Sir has talked about, and kindness to self, I believe as one reflection point that came to my head. I will invite, and thank you so much, Sir. More importantly, this is a community that is now forming, and as Dr. Georgios has said, expanding. So we really hope that now we are able to take these things forward. After this call is the real thing that will begin, where we will be able to discuss projects led by young people. And I'm so happy that like the following speakers also who we have are again like completely resonating with the same thoughts who've inspired similar action. So can I invite Fabia to from Fridays for Future, and a very close colleague of mine. We work very closely. We learn a lot, and Fabia's coming here for me was like a gift to Prem sir because he repeatedly quotes Greta to me all the time. And I was like, let me get you somebody who works with Greta, her vision, and probably from a very similar region. So let me get somebody who's a PhD student right now and yet driving so much alongside and doing climate dialogues again at the same time while doing 100 global actions. So Fabia, you have the floor, and our gratitude for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm a bit nervous, but also extremely honored to do this. This is my first time, so I hope it won't be completely confusing. But I'm not speaking on my own behalf, I'm speaking on behalf of the Fridays for Future movement. As most of you probably know, this movement started in August 2018 by one girl called Greta Thunberg from Sweden. And she was actually inspired by another group of young people, namely the students from Parkland College in Florida, US. And they have been through a terrible school shooting and have decided afterwards to go on strike because they felt that the school and the government was not really taking their lives seriously, and that it wasn't worth studying if at the same time the government was not willing to protect them from getting shot in their safe place, which is basically their school. So this is where Greta actually got her inspiration from. She skipped school, which was a big sacrifice for her because she liked learning. So it wasn't like she did this because she didn't like going to school. And she sat in front of the Swedish parliament ahead of the 2018 elections, just asking them to do something about the climate crisis because she couldn't see how she would continue studying and preparing for a future that might never actually exist in the way it did for the generations before us. This resonated with a lot of people around the world, and we have grown tremendously in all countries. And during our biggest strike, we actually grew to 7 million people who went out on the street, laid down their studies or their work to spend some time to ask their government and ask everybody in society to take climate action and do something about this huge crisis. Now, of course, I want to promote our next big strike that is going to happen next Friday in a week. I'm going to share my screen here. Just a second. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Fabia, we can.
All right, great. So our next strike is going to be about fighting climate injustice, which means, as you can see here, we have a hashtag because much is currently going on online. That is hashtag fight climate injustice. And we ask all the people participating in the strike to use this hashtag to raise awareness of how climate also has a certain kind of injustice that is entailed in it. Because as this very striking image from Extinction Rebellion shows, we may all be in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. And I think this is very striking because there are definitely communities that will suffer more, that will suffer harder. And ironically and tragically, these are also the communities that have done the least to cause this climate crisis. These are people of color, poor people, indigenous people. These are the groups of people that will be most affected by this. And we call this group of people the most affected person and areas. short for MAPA, and we want to show our solidarity with them, with the activists within our movement also who are part of this group, by having on one hand the hashtag Fight Climate Injustice, and on the other hand the hand sign of 2 fists that we encourage people to make during their strikes and to post photos on social media of them performing this sign to show that this climate crisis also needs social justice, because otherwise the communities that are already most affected will suffer the most. So how do we strike? I think we've mentioned it a few times. We're currently in an exceptional situation where striking is not possible as it is usual. We have found several different solutions to still make our voices heard. Here you see a picture of one of them that was sent to us from Fridays for Future Bangladesh, which means that they have people, because in many cases there's lockdowns, you can't really leave your home. And so what do? You take a picture of yourself at home with a message, a climate-related message on a poster, and you post it online just to show that you're still around, you still care, even though you're not allowed to contribute on the streets. You did not stop in any way caring about the climate crisis, and you still demand climate action. Another way to do this, which is being popularized very much in the US as well, is shoe strikes. This was also done ahead of the Paris Agreement in 2015, because right before the climate conference there started, which was quite historic afterwards, they had a big terrorist attack in the city, and they didn't allow for any demonstrations. So what did the activists done? They had planned this huge strike, hundreds of thousands of people, and they replaced the people, each of them with one pair of shoes to represent all the people that would have wanted to be here but weren't allowed to for security reasons. So this is also going to happen. Most shoe strikes are actually planned for Saturdays, so it's easier for working people to also participate. So this will happen on September 26th, one day after our Fridays for Future strike. So what do we do to keep these strikes safe? We have actually constructed a certain safety sheets. For the one hand, it always depends on the region that you live in. And we want our organizers around the world, they need to make sure that their strikes are in line with the current government guidelines. So what we do, what are just common sense precautions that we ask people to do everywhere, is to not attend if they're sick, which is, pretty logical, I assume. And we need to protect each other from infection. Then wearing masks. In most countries, this is the recommended course of action. And also, of course, because we're an environmental movement, we want the protesters to dispose of it responsibly, not just throw it away. This has also become a certain littering problem, because people throw away their masks somewhere in the streets and it ends up in waters, and that's of course something we completely want to avoid. Then washing your hands, something we hear all the time these days, but it can't be said too many times. We also ask strikers to bring along hand sanitizers if they're going out on the streets. Keeping a distance. We're striking together, but at the same time, we cannot get too close physically. We're united in spirit, not necessarily united in physically. So what do you do? If you want to become part of a strike, I would say you should register it on our website, fridaysforfuture.org. It doesn't matter if this is a big strike or if this is just you. Every strike counts. Every strike is really important and strengthens our movement. So we really hope that nobody feels just because I'm one person or just because I'm on my own or I'm socially awkward, you cannot participate. You can always participate, and any action you do is very valuable. So please, even if you're just one person, register your strike, send your photos to us and share them on social media, and join in our demand for climate action. We are, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. We are generally a very decentralized movement. We don't want it to be any other way. Nobody is a boss. Nobody's like higher up or anything. And not even Greta. She's just one of us, one of many. And we want it to stay that way because everybody has the same responsibility and the same opportunities to start a strike and to be part of this movement. So yeah, that's basically all I want to do to raise awareness, and I hope I've managed to do my small part of this. And yeah, thanks again, Keshav, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Fabia. I think Fridays for Future is a very mystified organization from young people's perspective, and I'm so happy that you've demystified it, trying to tell them that everyone's welcome. You can do it alone also if no one's around you, if you're socially awkward. I think that sometimes people think that they need to follow Greta when they can be themselves and strike and talk about the local issues with the local policymakers. So Prem sir, would you like to say something shortly?
Nikeshu, that's as you mentioned that Fabia and Greta, and I'm passionately admire all those young adults and young minds who are really working for the transformation and bringing certain set of change in the society. And Fabia correctly mentioned one thing, that each one of us responsible to bring this. And what a wonderful work this Future for Friday is doing. Lovely work. Thank you, Fabia, for sharing all these aspects with us.
Fabia, we are going to mobilize a lot of climate shoe strikes and a discussion on these issues through even sir's initiative. We are taking up climate is one of the main issues that the dais also believes to discuss and to engage youth with. So it's always a privilege to be working with Fridays for Future. And also just the culture of Scandinavia that is as flat, equal, and incognizant of everyone's equal dignity. So I think strong presentation, and you did a fabulous job, Fabia. You should be doing this more often for more people. So yeah, and let me, if there's any one more person who wants to say something about the strikes or about the work, or if they've learned anything new, then that I think will also make Fabia's weekend much better. Anyone? Piera, if you want to say something. Samantha, anybody?
I definitely will. Fabia, that was such a fantastic presentation, and something that really was so empowering for me was to sort of see those shoes for the shoe strike. And I had heard about it, etc., but I haven't personally been part of the shoe strike. But it was just to see all these sort of empty pairs of shoes created such a physical presence, even though when the people weren't physically able to be there. And I think that's so encouraging. And I want to see more of that, actually. I think it's also a sort of an art form in order to show up where you can't physically show up. So it's really beautiful, and thank you for such a fantastic and educational presentation. So thank you.
Thank you too. I really enjoyed your presentation too.
Thanks.
I hope you girls are both in Europe, so you collaborate more often moving forward. I will be connecting all of you guys.
Yeah, you need to give me her contact. So.
Yeah.
Likewise, let's do it. There we go. Networking online live. Woohoo!
And I hope that we see more shoe strikes, one in France, one in Sonipat, one in New York from this event at least. That could be one of our call to actions. Now moving, thank you so much, Fabia, Piera. Now, moving to another very, very inspiring 24/7 acting for the people, for the community person who deeply inspires me is Samantha Shiv-Prasad from Guyana. I can go on about her accomplishments, but I would rather have her talk about her journey. So, Samantha, if you would like to take the floor now.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're loud and clear, Samantha.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen. Um, just give me 1 second. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Just confirming with you. Okay, great, excellent. Good morning, everyone. I'm Samantha Shiv-Prasad, an ecosystem developer all the way from Guyana, and I will be sharing my personal journey and the project which I created with my team as a form of resistance that I faced when it comes to unemployment. All right, so I'll go ahead and I'll talk about um, who I am. So I'm Samantha Shiv-Prasad, and I'm a Facebook developer lead for Guyana, and that's a community-driven program, and it's also a volunteer program with Facebook. I was also the Queen's Young Leader for Guyana. I was recognized by Her Majesty for outstanding work done in the community for the last 20 years. Anyhow, I had a journey of going through university, finishing university, studying various parts in the world in London and the US, and not being able to find a job. However, when I look around me, it's not just my dilemma, but it's the dilemma of many other young people. And research and statistics have shown that close to 40% of young people in Guyana is unemployed. Now, looking at that, I found that it was not just a problem with me, but it was a problem with other young people as well. All right. So, what we're looking at is to drive local action to synchronize with global vision through this project. And if you ask, what is Econeer? Econeer is a digital platform aimed at empowering entrepreneurs with knowledge, mentorship for sustainable development. Econeer was conceptualized originally by Trefinity Solutions as a means to reduce poverty, youth unemployment, and inequality in Guyana. Now, these are the sustainable development goals that we're currently targeting. Of course, we'd like to aim for more of the sustainable development goals, but as time goes by, we'll obviously have to develop programs and plans in place. We're looking at targeting no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation, and infrastructure. I just want to iterate one of the model that we'll be using for this project and that we are using right now for this project is eSTEAM: entrepreneurship, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. A reason being why we're using this model is because entrepreneurship is a basic driver for economic and social empowerment. And for many of you who have been involved in STEM and STEAM knows that without entrepreneurship, we will not be able to sell STEM, we will not be able to sell STEAM, whether it's monetary or whether it's voluntary. We must have a goal in mind where we want to go and how we want to use all of these skills to achieve our sustainable development goals. Now, Ikaner work in three pillars. There's a job bank, there's an innovation academy, and a mentorship program within the ecosystem. So the job bank basically connects skills to available job opportunity within the ecosystem. And the innovation academy connect people with course content to help them develop relevant skills. Of course, we need to develop relevant skills in these times because we have seen loss of jobs. We have seen a world where we have to imagine new skills, new development, and new backgrounds, basically to survive. And then we have a mentorship program that basically engages person for personal and business development. Now, the job bank is basically aiming at getting people hired, getting them skill, and helping them, of course, to get a job. And these are some of the service areas in which we are currently working on. For example, last week we put out a few vacancies on our Facebook page. Over the weekend to now, we have received close to 500 different CVs from persons within our job bank. Our database basically spans over different skills, and we have been helping young persons to find jobs in the area of business, oil and gas, arts, and tourism. Just yesterday, we helped a young lady to find a part-time job at one of the renewable energy company in Guyana. And the next service that I'm going to speak about is CV and development. Definitely, we are looking to help persons to showcase their unique skill set through designs, and that is to help them develop CVs that are relevant and cover letters that are very concise and clear as to who they are and what they can do and what are their skill sets. And then we have coaching career opportunity, which help persons to maximize on their strengths and to help them to use that strength to reach their next career goal. Here is a snapshot of the job bank where persons can fill out their information and they can upload their CV, and we will help them to be matched with the next job opportunity that is available towards their skill set. Then we have the Innovation Academy, and that is to get oh God, I think the Innovation Academy is basically to get persons skilled, reskilled, and retool. But I think I did not change the slide, all right? But we'll talk about it. So the Innovation Academy is basically to reskill, retool, and upskill the digital workforce. As we know that everything is going virtually right now. And the demand for more skills development in the virtual workforce is becoming a need. And we obviously have to develop those skills or else we'll be left behind. So what we're doing, we came up with a curriculum that is empowering our education sector to be disruptive with skills such as critical thinking, entrepreneurship, emotional intelligence, and resilience. What is a nation with all the academics but have non-emotional resilience or positive mindset? What is a nation that have all the academic concept but do not have any critical thinking? What is a nation that has everything intact but do not know to market their skills? So through this platform, we are looking at disruptive education as a means of revolutionizing and reimagining the digital workforce, which we all will have to come together and get done. Now, courses being offered is the SDG Bootcamp, Emotional Intelligence, Coding, Problem Solving, and Entrepreneurship. Of course, we are looking to offer more, but I'll tell you as time goes by why that is not possible. at this point. So the next pillar is mentorship, all right? And basically mentorship, we are looking at helping persons to reach their goals and engaging in mentorship sessions that will help them to reach goals, both personal and business. Not everyone wants to start a business, and not everyone wants a job. Some people love to handle their own money. So the technologies that we have available is an Android app and a web portal. Now, why we don't have an iOS? And that is because we have not been able to gather resources to build the iOS version. But we are currently working on that. We're working on some funds and some grants to get there. Now, here is a snapshot of the mobile application that we've developed, and we have very short course, bite-sized information. On various topics, as I mentioned earlier. And for example, goal settings, validating your ideas, and so forth. So feel free to download the mobile app on Play Store, and feel free to leave us comments, reviews, and if you have anything that you think we should include or you want to share with me, I'm very much willing to listen to your concerns. Here is a screenshot of what the web portal will look like or is looking like. So basically, persons can search for the courses here. You can also search for it here. You have to log in and sign up so that you can access the course. Currently, we have two courses available, which one is emotional intelligence, and the other one is learn programming through C. And we are now still uploading programs on our portal. Now, advantages of Econeer program is to help person find job opportunity, education, mentorship, and resource most importantly. Opportunities available to encourage you to come join with us. You can become a volunteer by taking action to reduce poverty, youth unemployment, and inequality. You can also apply to become a mentor, where you can mentor the next generation of young leaders in Guyana. And I would say our country currently have a leadership deficit. This is because our recent election have revealed that one of the leadership party within our country have sought to rig the election. And that is why I say we have a leadership deficit, because persons seek to deny people of their democratic right rather than allowing it to be. And programs. So some of our programs are going to be the SDG boot camps, where we're going to look at ways and means to develop more stringent program to help persons to align themselves to working in the SDGs. About 2 or 3 years ago, I've started the SDG bootcamp in Guyana, going to schools talking about the SDG. Mistakenly, the SDG was taught as something like food, a girl, or some slang. However, I've spent my time to educate persons to learn more about the SDGs and how is it that they can pinpoint problems within the environment and fit them into one of these goals or two of these goals and solve those problems from a citizenship level. I encourage them not to wait on any government, any leader, for we believe that they are the leader that can step forward and make that change. We all have our responsibility, and I felt like I had my responsibility to go out into the community and educate them, even on the streets. There was a very huge sign of the SDGs, which was done by the local UN office in Guyana. People passed it. Hardly anyone knew what was the SDG. And during our campaign, we found out that a lot of people did not know about it. Persons even took the opportunity to write on it and to disfigure it, but they didn't understand what it is. So we took the opportunity to educate them. and to help them to understand how they can play a role as a part of the SDG. Not only we help them to do that, but I've also built some really great relationships with persons who I've never seen before and I've had no contact with. And it was very, very engaging to see that our young people are willing to learn if they're fed the information in bite size or they're fed this information a little bit more simpler and move away from the corporate language that it is in. The next thing that we're going to do in January is a digital youth forum for sustainable development. Why a digital youth forum is because everything is going digital right now, and we have to look at sustainable means in helping our community to thrive. So I believe that this forum will bring together speakers from international and local arena to speak about challenges that we're currently facing and how is it that we can overcome them within the ecosystem, and also to provide solutions for our community. Then we were supposed to have Innovator earlier this year, and Innovator got canceled because of COVID-19, because our country was starting to shut down, and um, we didn't want to break any of the rules. So Innovator, basically a woman tech conference that is supporting women to innovate and create more in their community and giving them mentorship as well. Now in November, for Global Entrepreneurship Week, we are looking to make 50 ideas sustainable and investment ready. Here are some of our sponsors that we thought, and we started this program since last year, and we're looking for a continuation this year for young people to sign up, connect, and collaborate and also create, where they can take their ideas to funders, where they can take their ideas to make the environment a better and sustainable one. The reason why we have done this is because many young persons are out there lost, not able to understand how they can make their ideas sustainable. I was one of those young persons. And through my journey, I was able to develop that sustainability. I was able to make some of my ideas investment ready. It was quite a journey. And if I can take that journey and compact it into a course and basically teach young people how to do this, I believe we can be able to speed up the rate at which young people are producing more ideas and making them purposeful, profitable, and they have more visions and goals to share with. We do not have to be different in terms of our innovation. We can be similar in terms of our vision. We can have more of many, which can drive more impact, because I myself cannot do all the work. Kishaf cannot do all the work. We need a collective effort. We need collaboration. With that being said, I want to thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And I do hope that I was inspiring enough to have you come join us in Ikaneer and to help create more impact. Because we're looking to also partner with the DIAS as in terms of sustainable development. And like I said, I cannot do everything, all right? And we want to make this platform be available for more persons. We want it to be available out there for people. So we are currently looking for investments. We're currently looking for resources. However, we can access it, because this has been my life work, which I was never paid for, or which I had sacrificed my master's degree funding to do this, because I believe that the planet did not need another master's degree or a PhD, because it already have enough, but we don't have enough sustainability. And that is why I dedicated my life towards this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. I think that's a very powerful message. And I think to talk about sacrifice is one thing, to make one is an entirely different story. So thank you for everything that you're doing for the Caribbean region, for the SDGs. And I'm so happy that you talked about people thought that it was a food item, SDGs, because that really reflects into a lot of complex and simple truths about SDGs. So I'm really glad that you brought forward these points. If I can invite one or two speaker participants or anybody on call who would like to tell us if they learned something, or what they, more importantly, there's so much to learn from this presentation of yours and the idea. If anyone would like to share their remarks quickly.
I'd like to, if you'll have me. I absolutely loved your SDG bootcamp. I just thought how fantastic that is to have a bootcamp of like learning about the SDGs and be able to sort of show how we can develop action and learn more about each of them. So I think that's such a fantastic way to encourage anyone really to become a part of this, and especially our youth to sort of become educated on more about what the Sustainable Development Goals are and what the UN agenda is to achieve by 2030. So I think that's such an exciting program, which I loved hearing about. So thank you.
Samantha, if you want to
You're welcome.
And thank you so much, Samantha Piera. Now we have our final critical sort of a speaker, and I want to pick up from what Samantha had said about trying to simplify these SDGs, have them in bite sizes. I was also a believer of the same things for a long time, until my imagination got completely challenged and expanded by Emily, who's our next speaker, who said, fiction makes people learn more, and stories make people learn more and can evoke people to act even than facts. So when the moment I heard it, I spoke with her, and that's one of the big reasons I was very excited to have Emily here. And if Emily, I can call upon you to speak now.
Thanks, Keshav. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me. As Keshav said, I'm Emily Craven. I am the CEO of a company called Story City. And so when I think about stories, I think a lot of the time when people think about stories, they think of books, of movies, of games, of media. And the interesting thing about these stories is that many people don't see themselves in them because their reality doesn't fit a global narrative. And the narrative fed to us by the media about who we are, about who this amorphous they are, the narrative fed to us by gatekeepered mass media or publishing studios. The people who gatekeeper these traditional storytelling avenues are often not aware of their biases. And they cite, business as an excuse. They say, this type of story, this type of character, this type of narrative, it doesn't sell. It doesn't work, and they don't necessarily have the data to back that up. That just comes from the biases in those areas. And so many people turn to, blogging or YouTube or social media to tell their stories, but then these stories often get touted as opinion rather than what they frequently are, which is an attempt to take back your narrative. And so I would argue that because these digital methods of storytelling have, for the most part, been passive, in a way that stops them short of initiating a broader interaction. Because if we look at stories that truly have captivated us in our lives, they are the stories that invite you to step into them and interact with them, to connect on a deeper level than consumption of a story. Because the best stories go beyond consumption, they go beyond self-reflection, and instead they demand a response. And whether it is an emotional, a creative, or an action. And so several years ago, I decided that I was going to make storytelling my career. And that was when I first realized that if you didn't live in the right place, if you weren't of the right gender, Or as I've seen with many of my friends, if you weren't of the right race, then it was incredibly difficult to make a career, let alone have your voice heard. And you had to move to those bigger cities, and that drain of voices and of talent left the city where I was to be a fairly dull place, devoid of interesting things to do or visit for most of the year. And so many people that I've talked to since share their worry that what made their communities vibrant, so their stories and their culture, was draining away. And the marginalized voices are just told to integrate and to forget what makes them different, and to accept the norm, that kind of pre-created global narrative. And so I decided to do something that on the surface looks incredibly silly. I gathered some storytelling friends together, and we created real life choose your own adventures. So they were stories of alien invasion, spies, and mystery. These were stories that you could access on your smartphone, that only opened when you were standing in the right place. And they took you on a tour through the city that you would never find in a guidebook. And they tasked you with becoming a character in that story, with interacting with your environment and the things that you walked past every day, but never actually noticed, and changed based on the stories that the choices that you as the participant made. And so we quickly realized that there was a power in geolocating stories, in literally making you walk in the shoes of another person, because locations have power. When you are physically there in a space presented with a story that is happening right there in front of you, it is so close you can almost touch it. And so all of the most powerful stories in your life, when you reflect back on them, are probably inextricably linked to a specific place, right? Where you had your first kiss, where you learnt to ride a bicycle, when you first learnt to love, to hate, to judge, to forgive. And so stories in a particular location are what are the roots of patriotism. That's what binds communities together. That's what connects people, and the telling of them gives us power. And it gives us power to humanize our country, our people, our homes, our culture, and to build that kind of bridge of understanding. And so far, this new type of storytelling, this kind of like geolocation of story experiences, has been used mainly to urge people to collect imaginary Pokemon in a park. So I instead decided that I was going to create Story City, which was a platform to build local creative economies and to allow storytellers to take advantage of a powerful storytelling format that connects their stories to a place in an interactive and fun way. And though a lot of the time we have done this through fiction, we have done this through historical fiction stories, where I learned the first place in Australia that had female police officers was Adelaide, where I learned that in Melbourne, it has one of the largest expat Indian communities in the world. Like, all of these different bits and nuggets of information all got folded into adventure stories that I took a part in, and I got to explore and experience. And they taught me things in a way that I probably may have just glossed over if I'd seen them on social media. But the thing about this type of storytelling is that it can be used to tell any story. And so when we put Story City together, almost immediately I had people from the sustainable development community reach out, because imagine being able to bridge cultural divides by weaving stories in a trail through communities who exist in zones of conflict, to be able to highlight what they have in common. Like, imagine a locative digital record of the Black Lives Matter movement outside the White House, which is always present and it's always accessible. Or the story of the shoe protests, for example, being done by the climate activists across the world, which we heard about today during COVID-19. What about having those in key locations in cities, championing the voices and concerns and youth and stories of the youth who see it affecting them in this global way, and to have that digital record that never disappears and is always there as a reminder. And so this is why we partnered with the DIAS and the Aspire Artemis Foundation. We want our platform to not only be a place to house adventures and games or like historic walking tours or musical tours through town. We want to tell stories of activism, of the Stonewall riots, of gender equality movements, of logging that is destroying native lands, of the far-reaching impacts of COVID on a population that doesn't have the luxury of sanitation, let alone social distancing. So we want to drive digital innovation to tell stories of community and connection and to house them in the locations where they're set so that people can step into them and experience them. And so we've been capacity building with the DS as part of our actions to help them take the stories they've collected through their extensive SDG dialogues and via story training and access to the geolocation technology on our Story City platform, essentially show the youth and communities how their storytelling and their streets can be a strong tool to incite conversation, empathy, and also action. So by creating stories that invite people to step into them and to live them and to interact with them and their creators. By humanizing our stories to take back that media narrative around local issues and communities, we take the first step with partners like the DS to have like a greater impact on furthering conversation and action around the SDGs. And so the next step of this is actually we're opening our platform up so that anyone, anywhere in the world can tell their stories in the locations that they're set. And so we're hopefully actually launching that at the beginning of December, which we'll be celebrating with a training and activism based event with the Aspire Artemis Foundation, which all of you are welcome to attend. So we want to redefine stories so that there's something that you're a part of rather than just something that you're told. And I urge you to help us kind of revitalize that power of story for those unheard voices and narratives. So that's my piece for today.
Thank you, thank you. That's quite a piece for today. I think from all of you guys, anyone who would like to say something about what they have learned from Emily's discussion today? You can unmute yourself and speak if you wish to.
I can again. Sorry, I always keep making comments, but all of these incredible presentations today have just been such food for thought, and it's so fantastic. I love Story City and everything you were saying. I'm an actor, so fellow storyteller.
Nice.
So I want to hear more about what's happening with you in the Aspire Artemis Foundation, and I sort of like look forward to sort of joining your journey and being a part of it in some way potentially.
Well, I mean, you talked a lot about music and you talked a lot about theatre and all of those elements of storytelling are ones at the moment that have been really restricted by COVID, as you mentioned, like those live performances and all of those things, and then being digital on the screen. So if this is a way that we can allow people to, you know, record those performances, to take them back out into the public area and to do it in a safe way that doesn't require people to gather, but actually allows them to get out and to semi-experience things with that location piece, which is just as important in those performances as the performance itself, then that's what I'm hoping we're able to do.
Brilliant. I love it. I love what you're doing. It's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else would like to say anything to Emily? Or
Keshav, can I share a few things?
Surely, sir. Yes.
Thank you, Keshav. And Emily, you know, so powerfully you have shared in terms of sharing stories. India, like, you go any corner, any nooked, you will have stories, you know. Narrating things and connecting in a very powerful manner, powerful tool. As well as theatre in education, storytelling in education has a bigger role, specifically with all set of age group, but especially in primary classes. So that's we are also trying to have. Keshav, I will request all the member through you. I'll be very happy in case if we can get their respective time, and when if they can connect with our children and can share their ideas with our students, because we do have so many young speakers, young people who have brought change with their initiative and with their ideas in their immediate society and surrounding. And believe me, this age group, the children, they learn a lot with the age group which you people are into. So when they will have a dialogue, when conversation with our students, they'll have a larger impact. So I invite each one of you, in case if you can spend some time, and through this virtual digital platform, we'll be really happy to host you virtually right now, but later on when COVID will give this set of space, we'll be happy to host you in our country, in our city, and the school. One thing, Samantha, which mentioned, and that why young generation and the entrepreneurship, I think lots of problem will be resolved with this whole notion and idea. When each one of us start focusing on this particular skill set. The entrepreneurship is something which is not properly discussed and talked about all across. Still they believe that entrepreneurship belongs to a certain set of community. Maybe the word, sometimes they relate it elite. Why not a child from a rural background or a village can be a wonderful and a very successful entrepreneur? And we have so many successful examples. So entrepreneurship should not be confined within the aspects of being. So I believe in a very, thank you, Samantha, that the way she brought and this organization. So thanks a lot. Wonderful sharing for all of you. Thank you, Dev, Keshav.
Thank you, sir. So in fact, we also have with us our Global Actions Director, Sudha Reddy ji. Sudha Reddy ji has spent now 3 decades doing these different kind of actions from grassroots. She was also at the Rio 20 earlier on when SDGs were being sort of legislated upon and discussed. So she's the one who inspires our actions. So Sudha ji, if you can just give us your precious remarks for 2 minutes and inspire us based on what you've heard, it will be an honor for us. Sudha ji, you can unmute yourself if yeah.
Hello.
Video will be
sorry, Keshav, it's not working for me. Like I'm using I know my internet also is not good. I'm missing a lot of conversation here. I mean, of course. And thank you so much. It's so, I mean, I know I'm being part of a group, and also listening to each one of you is so inspiring. And I was just wondering, when I was, wow, what a, the young group, and whenever, especially Samantha and Dipnopia and all, and whoever has explained, is really, I was just listening, and nothing else to say. That there's so much to learn, and so much what I think. Okay, something in Guyana and something somewhere. So at the same time, I'm also thinking how we could do in our own communities the similar way. Whether it's a similar way, I'm not very sure because of this, high technology and other things. But like Sir Prem was also mentioning, that kind of storytelling, it's been part of our traditions and cultures. And but we can recreate and reimagine and recreate the stories which are kind of a traditional, but at the same time we could bring it to the present context. So I started already imagining all these things, Keshav. Listening to everyone, how I could take this, how we could take this in our context. That's something I was thinking. Thank you so much for this. Is really very inspiring. People, amazing, and being part of with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sudhaji, and also I want to assure you that no one's going away from these calls into not being in touch. So all of them are coming back, and the reason why I called everybody here today was not only because of the kind of work they're doing, but also the kind of value of collaboration that everyone believes in, of trust, of sharing of methods. That's a very difficult thing to do sometimes when your ideas can be taken by somebody else or so on. But I can tell you that with all their open heart, whether it's Emily or Piera, Angel, Prem, so like everyone's on the same page about it, which gives me a lot of hope. Now, I was on the featured speakers thing, but I'm going to very quickly only just talk about two things here, not taking more time. One is that as a part of our program, the whole purpose of these dialogues and these online forums is only so we can come together and understand that we are on the same page. And that's just mostly what I've seen with people. And once they do come on the same page, for me, that is really the launch of the initiative. There's nothing more to it in terms of launch. Like what else? How can you launch anything anyway, which exists here and doesn't exist in the same time? So, but for me, the one action that I am focused on in terms of my COVID response that I want to sort of very quickly throw some light on is this one project on which I'm currently working with Brazil, India in the Amazonian region with the Xingu community. I also actually have Claudia who's joined on the call. I don't know if her internet will allow her to speak, but the Xingu community is in the Amazonian forests actually, and right now they're facing many issues due to COVID. So right now we are launching an emergency response through our project, which is Protect the Air Protectors. And if it's on your screen, so this is the most important COVID response that urgently needs attention. And we did a need assessment in the villages. So we have about 180 to 200 people in the two villages that we are right now trying to support. They also had Claudia just told me last night that they also had a storm, big one in Amazon, and the other sort of forested area as well. So they're along with COVID now the roofs are also gone. So so we tried to do a need assessment for the entire community. I don't want to show you the pictures too much. Just want to show you where we are. So I've realized that we need everything, whether it's books to some tech interventions to basic agricultural tools, fishing lines, food kits, hygiene kits, and we need to get them fast to these people. So I will only use my speaker time to just urge all of you that we can come together. I'm not a big believer of moving money from here and there. I'm very, very bad at that part of it as an entrepreneur, let's say. But I know a lot of efforts, a lot of more important resources through stories, through telling people, mobilizing support can happen through a lot of you guys and your networks. So that's one. But the second program that I'm just going to quickly talk about that we are doing, and I'm actually happy to share with all of you in terms of our as a program. And I can attribute a lot of it to a lot of you in terms of where we are on that, is our SDG fellowship. Because yeah, if I can call your attention to the screen. So this is the United Nations website. If you see the SDG, sustainabledevelopment.un.org, and our project, our action project from this program, that is the Global Voices SDG Youth Fellowship, was earlier on published as the action number 36925 in terms of the acceleration action for these global goals, for the Sustainable Development Goals, because we are in the final decade of achievement. And we are aiming over a 5-year timeline to benefit from this entire project, at least 1 million people globally. Our thrust has been in India, Afghanistan, Brazil, and we will be expanding the beneficiaries as per our relevant partners. So the idea is very, very similar for me in my head, that people can do anything that I can do, so long as they have the right ecosystem, nurturing opportunities, and the right exposure. and guidance. So with that, we thought that we will take up 15 core issues every year, have 4 young people being mentored by a senior person or an organization who will define, these 4 people will define their own one problem in the SDGs. So 15 goals we will take. And they will be running an annual project basically through this fellowship to solve that issue. And through different phases, we will be building different competencies with them, because I have seen that many young people, despite doing a lot of SDG action, don't really still understand what SDG is. They will know the 17 goals. They don't understand targets. They don't understand fundraising mechanisms of that. They don't understand high risk, like high intensity projects, mental health around it. So something which I'm sure all of you deal with as head of projects, leaders or and drivers of your own respective movements sometimes and in your own lives. So the whole idea is for that to happen. And then we have taken up a certain set of SDGs which will be here that we have taken up, and a lot of them are already aligned with many projects. For instance, the one that we are doing with Gateway International School, what we're doing with Emily, what we plan to do with Piera, Samantha. So a lot of that is going to be here. And a few things that we have already done is several mentorship and advisory commitments have already come in from senior academics, industry experts from around the world. There are at least like a big team who have already committed their time to managing this fellowship for now. So my call to action from here will be that that one thing that I am bittersweet about when I hear Emily, Piera, Samantha or anyone talk is there aren't enough people talking about it. So, and there aren't enough people doing this and leading it. And like Samantha said, nothing can be done alone. That like she said, I can't do this alone. And I know most of you are underslept through your days also. So, so we need more hands on deck, whether they're old hands, young hands, tired hands, no hands, whatever whatever be the situation. I think to save the planet in that sense, and I'm not trying to scare with some narrative, but generally like to save, let's say, Delhi from air pollution again, and to save the world from COVID and access to justice for people, access to education, food for people, for children to not have child labor conditions for themselves, to get basic 3 square meals a day, to then having girls not being prejudiced and facing access issues just to lead their lives besides thriving in profession. So so that's that. And and my last thing when I thank all of you is my reflection that while we think we are acting, I mean, we are also being acted upon by the setting in which we are acting. So, so my setting of that action involves talking to each and every one of you every day, or some days to discuss projects and involve my involvement in my SDG action has led me to learn a lot from all of you, whether it's Prem Sir from the Gateway International School, or Emily Craven from Story City, or Piera from Stronger with Music, or Samantha and even her colleague Narendra from Trifinity Solutions, even Angel from Breathing Easy, and Sudhaji from EFSA, for instance. So all we need to now do is our actions are launched. As Prem Sir had said, I think, sir, when you had said midway that your evening is made or your weekend, I'm sure it's further like escalated through the presentations that you saw today. And the same for Piera, Emily, all of you. I also hope that you enjoyed being an active participant as a listener to other projects. And before we conclude the call, if any of you want to just give any concluding remarks from your side quickly about anything, that'll be, yeah, last speaker time for anybody who wants to say anything right now. Thank you. And my sincere gratitude to all of you. You know how sincere it is. So
just many thanks for having us today. It's going to be we're going to make a lot of impact. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, Emily. Prem Sir, Piera, Sudhaji.
Lots of blessings to you and wishes to you, Keshav.
Thank you.
I can, Thanks to bring all these lovely people on one platform and have a wonderful sharing. Sudhaji, what shared that yes, we can together bring lots of changes. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Prince. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate that. It's been such an inspiring conversation and hearing from everyone, and incredible presentations, and I've also learned a lot. So I really thank every single one of the participants and panelists and speakers, and thank you, Keshav, for putting this all together.
Thank you. Thank you, Piera. It's everyone putting it all together for me also in many ways. So thank you for that. Samantha, Emily. Emily has spoken, so Samantha.
I want to say thank you very much, Keshav, for bringing this together and having all these amazing people share their brilliant ideas and movements and initiatives that they're working on. I was able to learn about your initiative, and if there's any way you feel that we can connect, we can collaborate, feel free to reach out. Keshav, I think one good thing would be good is to create like a WhatsApp group or a email or something where we can connect so that we can continuously share what's happening in our space, And one of the things I think as leaders, we should have empathy leadership, where many times I see leaders are sharing brilliant ideas. They're sharing great initiatives, and it never goes viral until it's supported by a corporate company or something like that, right? Most of the negative stuff are going viral, but I think we have to make consciousness go viral. And everyone here who have basically shared their idea and their vision and what they're doing, I want to say kudos to you on what you are doing. You understand the vision, you know the work, you know exactly what you need to do. And I want to wish you a successful future with your venture, because our planet really need these types of innovation, these types of creativity, like with music. I learned so much this morning about music and arts and creativity, and how it's gonna be able to channel sustainable development within our community. So Keshav, once again, thank you very much. And it was really wonderful to listen to your colleague Prem as well, who have shared some wonderful insights, and I'm very happy to learn all of what you guys have shared this morning, and thank you very much.
Yeah, Samantha, thank you. I think that this is a good idea about the group. So, and I'm sure this community is going to expand into at least 5,000 people in a few months once they see the value, and not just the value, but the values of the group together, which will, as I quoting Angel, help us rise together. So, and maybe get everyone else to rise with us. So thank you once again, all of you, and good night, I guess, from India. It's a slightly late dinner time now for us. Piera, have a great day ahead in Europe, and good luck for your music that's coming ahead. With we are always together with Stronger with Music. And Samantha, you and I are literally going to get on a call very soon today itself. So, my one advice to all of you is also get sleep whenever you can. I know a lot of you are also undergoing these challenges. Just last thing I've learned in my most intense things about work in social action is that it is a marathon, so you have to let go and sleep at a certain point. And it's not always under your control. It never can be, it never will be. And just don't be hard on yourself, so that you are not hard on your team moving forward. So thank you, and have a great evening, guys. We will document this. We will ensure that this goes out. Some actionable points are discussed. I will be also briefing Dr. Kostakos, our program advisor, and we will be having several of these follow-up meetings, consultations, which will be invite-only consultations with relevant stakeholders now on different projects. So thank you for all your concrete suggestions. And yeah, stay safe, and our gratitude from India to all of you. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Bye.